Come thrifting with me.
When it's all over, who's gonna be in your court?
My first stop was a Plato's Closet because they were doing a 90% off clearance sale, but I walked out with absolutely nothing because what was left over for the 90% off clearance sale was garbage. Thankfully, just down the street is one of my favorite thrift stores, Salt and Light. I really love this thrift store because they are explicit about what they do with the funds that they receive and because they're very reasonable in how they price their items. Usually when I go to a thrift store, I start in the shoe section, and that's because I love selling shoes and the ROI on shoes is usually pretty great. I wanted to show you this pair of Cole Haan heels because it's an example of something that I would have picked up years ago, especially because the price was pretty good, but the style is kind of outdated, so I left them behind. Growth. Next, I have these really cool belts that you will see later in the haul at the end of the video. I don't typically pick up belts, so that was kind of exciting for me. And some really cute shoes from Talbot's. I also love selling these Keen hiking sandals. You will see these later in the haul as well. And finally, I wanted to show you that there were so many Pendleton blazers at this particular thrift store. However, they were all a little bit older in style. A lot of them did have some wear, like pilling in the armpits. There was a lot of wrinkling, and I knew I'd have to sit there and like steam all of that out. I did end up leaving all of them behind. Pendleton is a great brand, but that doesn't mean that everything by Pendleton is worth picking up. You especially want to be on the lookout for anything Southwestern printed. Those pieces tend to do really well. And then down the street from that thrift store was a Goodwill. This is a really great area in my town where they have, you know, the Plato's, and they have a local thrift store, and they have Goodwill. They just have all of the things, so that's always really nice. This is one of the reasons that this Goodwill was the last place that I came to source, is because their prices have been getting really crazy. And the really sad thing is I've been noticing that the majority of their shoes now versus a small percentage of them, the majority of them are in the boutique section. So it's basically impossible to find shoes at this Goodwill for a decent price. You will see this little number in the haul. It is a ski wear, I don't know what you call it, a one piece, a jumpsuit, but it's like a ski outfit from Aussie Ski Wear. I did look up comps and they did seem to warrant the $16.99 price tag. So like I said, you will see this later in the haul. Lastly, I'll show you another brand that I used to get so excited about. It's Pilcrow and the letterpress from Anthropologie, but I usually leave it behind now. Thank you all for going thrifting with me. I hope you enjoyed that. And now is a very fun part of the video where I get to do a thrift haul for you. I get to show you everything that I picked up, some of the things maybe that you didn't even see in the videos because I wasn't able to get it on film. But this thrift haul is going to consist of items from 3 different thrift stores, including, let's see, it's been like over the course of, I don't even know how long. I think it's 2 Goodwills in different cities and a local, like smaller thrift store. So super excited to dive into that. But before we do, let me introduce myself. Hi everyone, my name is Becky Park. I'm a part-time reseller, which means that I like to do exactly what I showed you, which is go to places like thrift stores and consignment stores, garage sales, estate sales, and I like to pick up items for as cheap as I can and sell those items online as an amazing side hustle. It's a side hustle to my full-time job as a high school choir teacher, and I have made some really great money doing that. If you want to learn how to make money on the side of whatever your full-time job is as well, definitely make sure that you hit that subscribe button for more tips and tricks on how to succeed as a part-time reseller. So I just realized that I'm missing some stuff. It's right there, so let me grab it and then we'll jump right into the haul.
A few moments later.
Alright, so I hung up some of the stuff back here just for my thumbnail, so I just thought I'd leave it because it's easier to reach. But let's start with actually one of the things that I am most excited about. So this is something that I saw hanging on one of the taller shelves at Goodwill, and it stood out because it's big and bulky. The brand, I don't know how to pronounce it, but either Aussie Ski Wear or Aussie, not quite sure. This is a one-piece ski suit. So it's got the very chic and figure flattering elastic waist here, and you can cinch in your waist even while skiing if you want, you know, the illusion of that hourglass figure. You can do that with this belt right here. Like I said, elastic waist, lots of zippered pockets as you can see. Even down here there are zippered pockets, gold hardware, and on the inside there's a pocket as well. So this I believe is a women's piece. It's in a size 10. It is 100% nylon on the exterior, and the lining is 100% nylon as well, and the fill is polyester. The fur trim on the hood is actually 100% lamb's hair, and you can zip off the hood if you want to ski without the hood, or just like be fashionably out in the snow without the hood. You can zip it off. It looked like a really well-made piece, and I have seen how, you know, ski suits, jumpsuits, those sort of things can do really well in the resale market. I have never tried picking this kind of stuff up before and selling it, so I definitely made sure to look up comps. They were asking $16.99 for this. I wanted to make sure that I could sell it for a high enough amount that paying that much would make sense, because $16.99 is a lot more than I typically pay for items when I go to the thrift store. But I was finding comps, some as low as $50, but some even as high as $100. So I figured I'd take it, and I do think that while the retro, like very colorful, color blocked ski suits can do really well, I also think there's something very desirable about just classic neutral black, and I like that it was a bigger size, a size 10. So I'm hoping that someone who is going on a ski trip very soon is in need of a fashionable one-piece ski suit, and I've got that for them in my eBay store, my Poshmark closet, all of those places. I will probably try to list this a little bit on the higher end, around $100. I also don't know anything about skiing and when like the ski season is, when people are trying to buy this kind of stuff. So I don't know if I like missed the mark as far as when I should have listed this, if this is something that should have been listed a month or two ago. I don't know if people go skiing over spring break. I don't know, but I'm just gonna go ahead and list it and see what happens and hope that someone does still need something like this season. Regardless, I'm always down to try something new. I thought that was really fun and exciting, so we'll see what happens with it. The next piece is a little bit more boring. It's a little bit more of just kind of like a bread and butter piece. This is Nike Golf. Nike Golf pieces can do really well in that they typically tend to sell pretty fast, and they can sell for a decent amount too. So the reason I like this is because what I was noticing when I looked up comps is that the Nike Golf, let's see, is this a, yeah, like this is a quarter zip pullover. Half zip? Quarter zip? I think it's a quarter zip. But their pullovers can do really well if they're fleece lined, which this one is. So it's not like a big, heavy, bulky layer. It's not like a big winter jacket that someone has to wear when they're out skiing, but it does provide some extra warmth. And so that was one of the reasons I picked it up. I think I can price it around like $40. What I didn't realize, however, once I got it home, is that on the inside of the collar, there are some marks and stuff, if you can see that. I don't even know how that gets there on the inside of the collar. And there was a lot of pilling right here. You can still see the remnants of some of it, but I actually took a sweater shaver to it, so it does look a little bit better. There's like some very slight yellowing. Otherwise, it's in great shape, but I think I paid $6.99 for this. I already ripped off the tags because I already actually photographed some of these pieces, like the two that I just showed you. I'm trying to like be super on top of it and list things quickly once I pick them up so that they don't sit around and get wrinkled. But I believe I paid $6.99 for this, and like I said, I am going to try to list it for like $35 to $40. I didn't know about the marks on the inside, so that does bring down the price a little bit, I'd say. Next up at that same Goodwill where I found those two pieces, I found this blazer, and if you've been watching my what sold videos especially, you know that I've been having really insane luck with Cabby lately. It's a brand that I had decided to start passing on because I feel like I've been burned by it so much in the past, where I'll pick up an item, I'll pay like, maybe not like an insane amount, but a decent amount for it, and then it just sits and sits and sits, and I have to eventually move it for like $10, $20. And so I've just been passing on it, but then lately I've been finding some really great Cabby pieces and more like substantial pieces. I've been finding jackets and coats and things of that nature, and they have been selling for good money. Like I recently sold a jacket for $99. I sold a maxi dress for, I want to say like $75 or something like that. So I have kind of this refreshed, renewed respect for Cabby, and when I find cool pieces by the brand, I definitely take the time to at least look up comps and see if it's worth picking up. I did that with this because I am such a sucker for anything nautical, which this definitely is. This blazer has these very nautical inspired gold buttons on the front. I think there are literal anchors on the buttons. Like, you can't get any more nautical than that. And then it had this really interesting kind of like built-in ribbed sweater sleeve on the inside. But if you look, it's not an entire sweater on the inside. They literally just took a piece of ribbed like fabric and sewed it, you know, from here to the bottom to make it look like you're wearing a very preppy nautical sweater underneath, which I thought was kind of funny. I don't remember, because I already took the price tag off of this, I don't remember exactly how much I paid for this. I want to say I paid, again, maybe around that $6.99 mark. That's usually how much they charge for blazers at my Goodwill. But when I was looking up comps while I was inside the store, I was seeing that these could sell for a decent amount. I want to say for at least $50. Again, it's been like a week and a half since I picked this up, so I don't remember exactly off the top of my head, but comps were pretty good, so I thought I would take a shot on it. I'm hoping that I have the same kind of luck with this piece that I've had with some of my more recent cabbie pickups, and I guess you'll have to stay tuned to future What Sold videos to see how well this piece does. But definitely have been on a cabbie kick lately, and I'm not sorry about it. All right, this is a little less exciting to me. It's another blazer, and I do think that blazers by this brand can do okay. This is Torrid. This is in a size 3, which is essentially a 3X. It's a very classic blazer, perfect for the office. And, you know, it's got these like pinstripes on it, as you can see. It's got some ruching on the sleeve, and that is something that I've noticed on a lot of plus size blazers, is they'll have this ruching on the side, which I think is great. Ruching is always extremely figure flattering. And I also think this is like a 3/4 sleeve. I don't know that it's full length. It might be, I don't know, I have to do some measurements. But one thing I do love about picking up Torrid is that if you look underneath the care tag, there's usually this little white tag, and it'll have some information on there that I think is really helpful. First of all, it'll have the item number, so if you type in that item number, sometimes it says style number as well, but if you type that in, it'll tell you exactly what this item is called. It'll have stock photos. It'll usually take you right to Torrid's website, and they do a really good job of keeping a database of like the majority of their styles. Even things that were sold years ago, it's usually still on their website. You might not be able to find as much information about it, but they usually still have the stock photo, the name of the item, all that kind of stuff. So having that item number is incredibly helpful. And then they also have the cut date. You can see that at the very bottom. And the cut date is when they usually start getting rid of this item in their store. So I think that we can safely assume, with this cut date being August of 2018, that this was sold in stores at Torrid in the year 2018. You know, it is now 2023, so I get that. It's been a few years, but blazers are extremely classic and I would say timeless, so I'm okay with the fact that this is a little bit older of a style. I don't think it's like super outdated or anything, and I think that people are still wearing blazers like this to the office, so I picked that up, probably paid $6.99 for it, hoping to move it for like $30 to $35. All right, so let's move into some accessories, and I picked up a few things that I don't typically pick up, so I'm very excited to see how they do. And those things are belts. So this belt right here is a black leather belt, and it's got all this, oh, I just saw some major flaws that I did not see when I was at the store. So that stings. That drastically brings down the resale value of this. What are you gonna do? Okay, so it's this black leather belt with all this studding on it, and if you look at the buckle, it is a Harley Davidson belt. Ooh, sorry, that wants to get in the way. So it's got this huge buckle here. They wanted $3.99 for it, but this color tag I believe was either 25 or 50% off, so I didn't even pay $3.99 for it. But what I'm seeing right now is this. You can see where the leather just kind of, and you can see where the leather like cracked, and there's actually even pieces of it missing. So that really stinks. And obviously once the belt buckle goes on, it's going to cover a lot of that, and depending on like which hole the person uses, it may actually even cover all of it, but it's definitely a flaw. So I have to take pictures of it and disclose it. And that does, you know, lower the resale value of this. But this is genuine leather. I'm looking for a size. There is like a number 54 on here. I don't think that this is a size 54, however. So I just have to measure it, do some research. I could have sworn there was a size on here. But yeah, a lot more wear than what I thought that there was. So I'm definitely not as excited about this. What are you going to do? Sometimes that happens. I'll probably list this for like $25 to $30, but given how little I paid for it, there is still a lot of profit to be made. And there is a date on the underside of this belt buckle. It reads 1996, so this is definitely vintage as well, so I can put vintage in the title. I just wish the leather wasn't as messed up as it is. That's okay. Someone's still gonna buy it, which is the crazy thing. Okay, so another belt, and again, very much in a style that I'm not really used to selling. I'm not really used to seeing belts like this very often at my local Goodwills. I live in central Illinois. We don't have that much Western wear, you know, not as much as you'd probably find in the South. So I was kind of surprised to find this, but this is a Western bone bead concho belt. And again, I just was intrigued. I think they, again, only had $3.99 on this. And that also was about 25 or 50% off. So I paid under $4 for this. This one, if I remember correctly, because I think I've already taken pictures of this, this one is in much better shape than the Harley Davidson that I just showed you. There's no like cracking or anything like that on the leather part, and I love the hardware. The hardware is just so intricate. You can see all that detail on the belt buckle, and there's no date on the buckle like there was on the Harley Davidson piece. There is, however, a size, and I think maybe that's what I was thinking of when I was trying to figure out the size of the Harley Davidson belt. It says size 32, so I'm fairly certain that this is a men's belt. I also don't see a brand name. I know that there are brands like Tony Lama and other very popular Western wear brands that make these kind of bone bead concho belts, and I feel like if they are those kinds of brands, you know, your Tony Lamas, I can't remember some of the other brands that I saw while I was doing my research, those belts were going for like $50, $60, and then the unbranded ones were going for a little bit less. So I have to do a little bit more research, and I think if I focus on the etching on this belt buckle, I might be able to figure out the brand, if there is a specific brand, because it's a very specific pattern. There's like a flower, and there, you know, so maybe if I do a Google Lens just on that, even here at the tip you can see another flower design there. Maybe if I do that, I'll be able to figure out who this is by. Also, just like I said, need to do a little bit more research, but I thought this was really cool. And this is actually something that is going to go in my February drop on my website. Same with the cabbie blazer, and I think that's it so far of all the things that I've shown. But super excited about that, and just excited about trying new things. I love picking up new things, new brands, new styles, and just seeing how they do and testing out the market with firsthand experience. And I'm really excited to see what happens with that. All right, next up I have this pair of black Toms. They are the popular like wedge lace-up shoes that they have. I forget the style name. It's very popular, and there are a lot of these shoes of this same style already listed online, but this is a pretty safe $30 right here, 25 to 30, if not even more. These are in a size 7. I cannot remember exactly how much I paid for them, but I want to say they were asking 6 and it was 50% off, so I got them for 3, which is why I picked them up. Because they're so basic, I would not pick them up for regular price. You know, I think at my local thrift store that I got this at, I think they usually sell shoes for around $5.99, and I would not have paid that, but because they were half off, I did. There is a little bit of wear on the suede, but really not that much, especially for black, and the bottoms looked great, so I'm gonna list these for 35 to 40, see how they do, but I do think that they will sell. Next up, this is a tried and true style as well. I sell these all the flippin' time. These are Keens. So these are Keens' very popular hiking sandals. There are a couple things that you have to look out for when you are picking up Keens. I have made the mistake of picking up Keens with these flaws so many times. The first thing that you want to check is, do they have the little circle on the inside with the size? You know, most shoes will put the size of the shoe on the bottom, which, by the way, if you look at the bottoms of these, you can see they are in amazing shape. But most shoes will have the size down here. Keens in this like hiking sandal style do not. So the only place you can see the size of the shoes in your hands are by looking at this little circular sticker on the inside, on the side of the shoe. And it literally is like a sticker and it comes off so easily. I would say at least 30 to 40% of the Keens that I find in this style are missing that size sticker, and then you're screwed because you don't know what size, you know, sandal you have, so it's very frustrating. But this is a size 5, and I think it's a 5 men's because it says US size 5 for UK. So I'm pretty sure that that means this is a 5 men's. It may also be a 5 youth. I don't know. That I have to do a little bit more research on. But it's a 5 US, 4 UK, 37 EU. So if I look at that, I can do some research and figure out, you know, in US sizing, who is this for? Is it men's, women's, youth? I'll be able to figure that out. But these are in really great shape otherwise. Another big flaw that I see is oftentimes like right back here, the shoes will be ripped. But as you can see on both of these, the backs are in great condition. Sometimes I'll also see like this little bungee cable is cut or something like that. There is a little bit of wear on this bungee cable, as you can see, like it's a little bit thinner here, but it still works, and that's what's important. The little part that you use, like you squeeze this and you move it up and down the bungee cord, that still works, and that's what you need in order to get the personalized fit that you want, you know, however tight you want it to be. So I would say this is in good working order. If these are men's, they are really small, but I can still probably list them for at least 35 to 40. If they're children's, I'll probably list them for like 25 to 30, probably list them for 30 and try to move them for around 25, but they're in great shape. And I do think that a lot of families will be going on, you know, trips to national parks and hiking and doing all that kind of stuff during spring break, and I'm hoping that they will look for Keens online and find these on my reselling platform. So love picking up Keens. They always sell so well for me and pretty quickly too. These I just could not resist because they were so cute, and there's a part of me that wants to keep them myself, but I don't know, do I need them? So they are just these little slip-on mules. They are black and white striped, and then they have these little ladybugs, these little embroidered ladybugs on the top of the shoe. These are in a women's size 5.5, and they are by one of my very favorite brands to resell. Not the sexiest brand in the world, but a great bread and butter brand, and that brand is Talbot's. So I didn't even look up comps because they were asking $3.99 for these. And like I said, I kind of maybe want to try them out for myself first and like wear them around the town a little bit, and then maybe I'll list them. So even if they don't sell for very much, I will get some use out of them first because they're so gosh darn cute. I will probably list these for like $25 to $35 once I do get them listed, but I could not resist. They're just so fun, and they're very lightweight, and it's a leather sole, leather interior, all that good stuff. So thought they were so cute. All right, and then finally moving on to some stuff that I got. Did I get this last night? I think I got this stuff last night. We went to Chicago on an impromptu trip to see my in-laws. My father-in-law's health is not super amazing, and we actually don't really know how much time we have left with him, and so we are trying to go up there as often as we can. And I actually did run into a YouTube viewer while I was at the Goodwill where my in-laws live, and so thank you so much for saying hi to me. My kids were with me, and my daughter was like, "Oh my gosh, like you got recognized." She's like, "How does that feel? Does it happen often?" And I was like, it literally basically only happens while I'm thrifting, because that would make sense, right? Like other people are thrifting, and usually it's people who resell who watch my channel. And so I will sometimes run into people who view my channel, and I love it when you guys say hi at the thrift store, at the bins, wherever. It's so amazing to see like the actual real life people in the flesh who watch my videos and to just make that acquaintance. I love it. And then one time my daughter reminded me too that while we were on vacation in Seattle, we were at a restaurant and someone came up to me and was like, I watch your YouTube channel all the time. So that was really cool. She was like, you don't only get recognized at Goodwill, sometimes it's at restaurants too. So I was like, you're right. But again, thank you so much for saying hi. It was so lovely to meet you. And I did pick up a few good things. So the first thing that I picked up, we only had like 25 minutes in that Goodwill before they closed. So I was just kind of running around. I hate thrifting, especially at like big thrift stores with a lot of stuff. And this particular Goodwill has a lot of clothes. Like the racks are always packed to the brim. There are always new racks out, and these employees don't really care if you look at the new rack. So it's always really overwhelming, and then even more so when you don't have that much time. So I wasn't really looking up comps. I was just grabbing stuff and throwing it in my cart if, you know, I was remotely excited about it. I have never found this brand before. I know that it can either be really good or really average. And I was like, please let it be really good. Please let it really good. So the brand is Liquid Blue. And I kind of knew as soon as I picked it up that this was newer Liquid Blue, because typically vintage stuff, they do not screen print any of the information on the clothes itself. So you know how this is like directly just on the shirt? Vintage stuff is gonna be printed on a tag, and it's usually gonna be like that paper tag if it is true vintage. So I knew when I picked it up, like in my heart of hearts, that this was gonna be a lower end Liquid Blue piece. It was not gonna be one of those that you could list for like $200, $250. That's like the vintage stuff you can list that high. It's in a size large, but I also just picked it up because I thought it was a really cool and interesting graphic. It doesn't say Grateful Dead anywhere on here, but the research that I did while looking up this shirt, it seemed like this was a graphic used for Grateful Dead stuff. So I'm fairly certain that it is Grateful Dead, but I do feel like I actually found the same exact shirt on the Liquid Blue website, and they didn't mention Grateful Dead at all. They had a different name for the style, so I'll probably use that. I might use Grateful Dead as a keyword as well, and I think I can list this for like $30. So it's not the $200 find that I was hoping for, but that's okay. It's still a really cool graphic tee, and this actually will probably go in my February drop on my website. You know, I'm trying to like have themes for the drops, and everything else, I'm like looking at my rack of stuff for my February drop right now. Everything else is very like floral and feminine, and then I want to have this, but you know, like there's some flowers here, so it works. Okay, I just got this for myself, and it's literally just like Gap, but I think it's vintage Gap. Not I think. I know it's vintage Gap, but I just got it because look at how perfect. It's like a great cropped tank top. It's ribbed, and I love the high neck. So I got this for myself. I paid $4.99 for it. By the way, that Liquid Blue shirt I paid $4.99 as well. So I think I can still turn a good profit, even if it sells for $30. So I was looking at the new racks, which, like I said, some Goodwills hate when you do that. They literally scream at you if you touch the new racks. It's kind of like, you know, going to the bins before they say you're allowed to. But thankfully at this particular Goodwill, they really don't care. I think they see it as you're giving me less work to do because you're taking stuff off of the rack, so it's less for me to have to put out on the floor. So I always try to look at new racks first if I see that new racks are out. And on it, I found 2 pieces by this brand, and I love this brand, so I was super excited. The brand is Universal Standard. It is a great brand that is very size inclusive, and also they just make some really great neutral, like minimalist capsule wardrobe type pieces. This is in a size 2 extra small, so like an extra small. I don't have any experience selling the extra small type stuff in Universal Standard. I've only ever sold their bigger sizes, and I do think that that's how they kind of gained popularity, was with their more plus size pieces, and again just being extremely size inclusive and making great quality clothes for plus size women. So I don't know if the market for stuff that isn't plus size is as good, but I thought I'd try, especially when this was only priced at $5.99. I have to do some research, and honestly, maybe again, this is something that I will wear myself first a little bit before I go ahead and list it, but it's a great neutral beige turtleneck. So I don't know, you can't go wrong with that. I think people are always looking for really great neutral pieces that can be part of a capsule wardrobe so that you're not having to buy more, but you just need a few good quality pieces and you can look really put together that way. So this is made of a cotton lyocell silk blend and it's just so classy. So I don't know. Let me know in the comments below. Do you think I should wear it a few times first and then sell it? I was planning on just putting it in my February drop, but I just feel like maybe I should wear it first. I've never owned anything by this brand, so that would be nice to kind of try it out. This, I think, is the other piece by that brand, and here's my receipt. Okay, so this is, I believe, the other item by that brand, which is really surprising because they're in two very different sizes. So this turtleneck top was a 2XS, and then these jeans are a size 12. So just very different. I don't think it's from the same person, so it's just really funny that both those pieces happen to be there on, you know, the new racks that were waiting to be put out on the floor. So this is a pair of dark wash, I believe they're high-waisted, skinny jeans. And I know skinny jeans are not like super popular anymore, but there are still some people who enjoy wearing them. These I had $6.99 into. I have sold Universal Standard before, and I think that I sold them for like around $40, which I think turning $7 into $40, it's pretty good. And on the inside, they do have the style name. This is the high-rise skinny Seine, like the Seine River, 27-inch in dark indigo. So you can see just right on the inside, they have it printed on the pocket lining right there. So I love that they give you the style name and all of the information that you need to create a good listing so that people know exactly what it is that you have. So yeah, these I'm going to list for $40 to $50. We'll see what happens with them. But I do love this brand. I think that this brand has a great following and I've always had really good luck selling their pieces. So I've got one more thing to show you. I have sold this brand before, but never for men. So I picked these up because also the tag is missing. Let's see how much I paid for these. These I paid $9.99 for, but this was my first time getting it in men's. So the brand is Donald J. Pliner. I have sold a lot of women's shoes by this brand, but to be honest, I didn't even know they made men's shoes. These were just a great classic loafer though. They're brown, leather exterior. I loved this silver hardware up here, and on the hardware you see a DJP for, it's really hard with my lighting, it's right there, but it's like etched into the silver and it says Donald J. Pliner. On the bottom it says Vero Cuoio in Italian, which means leather made. And they were in really great condition. So I was very excited to try these out. I have $9.99 into these. That's how much they were asking, but I was seeing solds in that like $50 to $60 range. And I think that that is a pretty good return. So I'm excited to try out Donald J. Pliner for men and we'll see what happens. So those are the items that I picked up at 3 different locations. One thing that I'm finding as I try to be pickier about what I source is that I'm just not able to source as much as I used to at each location. I used to be able to fill my cart and come home with like 40, 50 pieces every time I went out sourcing. But now that I'm raising my standards, because I really am trying to stick to items that will turn me a $20 profit or more, I'm just not able to buy as much. And part of that is because of the fact that I'm being picky, but along with that, it's also because, you know, a lot of the thrift stores are just charging a lot more for pieces, and so that makes it kind of tricky. But a video that I do plan on having come out in the near future is just how to thrift well and how to make use of your time while you're at the thrift store. You know, what kinds of things to be on the lookout for, you know, like even what my personal plan of attack is when I go into a thrift store, my reasoning for why I hit up certain sections of the store first, all of that kind of information I'll share in an upcoming video. But I do think that the items I picked up are of pretty good quality, even though, you know, some of them were a little bit more flawed than maybe I thought, like that stinging belt. That still makes me a little bit angry. But as you know, some of these items are going to show up in my February drop on my website, and that is going to go live the second Friday of February. I don't remember the date off the top of my head. So if you have not checked out my website yet, I do have a link down below where you can can still see some of the items from the January drop, as well as some clearance and sale items, things that maybe have been listed for a while on my, regular reselling platforms, but I'm selling them at like a super discount on my website. You can see those items there. And then also down in the description below, I will have a link that you can use to sign up for my email list. And if you join my email list, you'll get some more information about my website drops so that you are there first thing and you're able to snatch up the items that you want for yourself before someone else gets their hands on them. So thank you so much for watching my video. If you want more thrifting content, definitely check out this playlist right here with more thrift hauls, more thrift with me's, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.